All right, so we started looking at how to design what. At the same time, I need everybody attention. Um, we started looking at how to design website navigation bar, right? And I told us the importance of this part of a website. Why is it very important to us? The reason why every website should have a navigation bar is to one of the way you are providing a user-friendly interface to the users, because the navigation bar helps them uh, to navigate around your website through the provided navigation links like we have programmed. And I gave an advice the other time that your NavBar is not expected to have more than 5 navigation links in order for it to look mature. That does not mean that when you come across a website with 10 links in their navigation bar, that does not mean that it's not a website. The only thing is that probably there might be some constraint, because there are times clients will want us to give them what they want because they are the one paying us. Even after telling them the standards, they will still tell you, please, I want everything to be like this. Of course, if you need the money, you will not insist beyond certain level. But if you don't need the money, you can tell them that if they do abide to your rule, they should go with the job. Okay? So, but at least you have given them professional advice. If any other professional sees such a website tomorrow and call them and abuse them, that who is the guy that built this kind of useless website, I believe they are conscious. They will defend you. Even they will not even want to meet you. They will defend you on your behalf. That though actually the guy advised us, but we are the one that asked him to go this way. So what I wanted to teach us today is the main body of the website. But I realized that the navigation bar is not mobile responsive. What do I mean by that? To check your website responsiveness, don't forget I have mentioned before what we mean by what? Website responsiveness. Can anybody remind us what is website responsiveness? When we say website is responsive, what does it mean? It means it can work. Is it just work? 30/100. You can still try. I raise it to like 70. How it can display on all devices, right? Or different devices. Good. The adaptability of your website display to different screen is called responsiveness. Now, and I explained something when we started this training. So if I switch back to your HTML code, there is already a particular device responsiveness implemented by default once you activate HTML default code, which is what? This line. I explained it when I started this class. Those that started with me. The whole of this line is to implement laptop responsiveness and partially tablets, but not mobile. I will prove it to us now. That should be your priority as a developer. In fact, if you waste your time, build any kind of website that is not responsive, get ready to be rejected. You will start all over. Statistics have shown that, and I would like you to assess that and tell me whether I am correct or not. Statistics have shown that 90% of website users uses mobile phone and other devices that have smaller screen than laptop, right? So if that is the case, who do you think you should prioritize when you are building your website? Who is mobile, right? Now, let me go back to the front end and show you how this website will display on phone and tell me whether it's okay. On laptop, everything is perfect, right? But we just agree now that we shouldn't build for what? Laptop what? Users. Because they are just 10%, if at all. They are even up to 10. Now, this is how you check your website if it's responsive. The standard way of checking it is that you right-click on it and then you go to what? Inspect. So once you click on inspect, you're going to see a reaction now. Can you see it now? Is this website responsive? Is it responsive? You are not seeing one of the button. The subscribe button have been sold, right? So which means you are saying that people that are using phone, they cannot subscribe, which is bad. If the person that owns this site, his own major objective is what? Subscription. You have killed that person as a developer. You are the reason why the person is not getting customer. And he invested extra money just because he want to drive what? Sales. He want to increase customer what? Patronage. And at the end of the day, it's the other way around. Now, let me show you how you can toggle around different devices. This is how, pay attention. This is how this website will display on iPhone 14 Pro Max. People that are using iPhone what? This is how they will view this site. Now, let me click here and check. People that are using iPhone 12 Pro, this is how they will view this site. Almost the same thing, right? Good. This is how you know. Now, people that are using Samsung Galaxy, let's check. People, they are able to enjoy it more. I think they are seeing the introduction of the button. So they can click on it, right? Only that they are not seeing the description. Now, people that are using, so you just have to use one or two devices. This is what? Samsung what? Galaxy. Those that are using big phone now, me, I'm still using average phone, so I don't know their name. Okay, so you can see that this website is not responsive because all the three devices that I have browsed through now, none of them is able to capture what? The subscription, right? So how do I change it from here now? You click here. I want to go back to my laptop view. Not yet. This one is to close the entire browser. Why this one is to close what? The responsive what? View. In case you all do not go there straight, this is what I click on, toggle. So this one is tablet now. I just switched to what? Tablet. This is tablet view. Tablet people will be enjoying this website. So that means what? That responsiveness default. I said it's for what? Both laptop and what? Tablet. So if you do not take extra step by implementing Bootstrap, which we are going to learn later, you have issue of what? The website what? Responsive across different what? Devices. But sir, Bootstrap is a library. Library means collection of functions. That means what? Somebody have built those functions for you. You are just what? Enjoying them. Bootstrap, that library is built with JavaScript, with what? HTML and what? CSS. That is what? Compilation of what? HTML code, CSS code, and what? JavaScript code. Compile for you. So the question is this: if you don't know JavaScript, can you utilize that kind of library? If you don't know CSS, can you use that library? If you don't know HTML, can you use that library? That is the reason why we don't start with it. It's the very last thing I'm going to teach us as far as front end is concerned. before I enter what? Backend. So what I want to teach us today now is how, if I don't know Bootstrap, how do I make my website what? Responsive. I should learn that one first. Manual, that is manual. So that when I'm using Bootstrap, I can easily flow with it. So when I see JavaScript code in Bootstrap used to achieve this responsiveness, I know it because after all, I have an idea of what the manual aspect of it. I understand the language. So it may not take time because we are just going to adjust one or two things in what we have created before. That was why I was much interested in verifying whether every one of us have gone through what the last class. Because it's that same code, I will just readjust some things. Or, okay, let me see how fast I can go. So which means that I'm going to convert this to another what? Navigation bar. But this very one is what? Not what? Responsive what? NavBar. Why this one I want to code now is called what? Responsive what? NavBar. I'm talking afresh so that we can understand it. Now, it means that I'm also giving you work. You know, I'm giving you work because when we get to the body, you build body for all of them. For this project, you start with. All right, so let's quickly write how to design. So for those of you that were not in the last class, this is just like God helping you small, like 50%. We are taking everything again, but we are going to add few different CSS and so on. In fact, we are even adding a touch of JavaScript, but I will not explain it. But you just copy it the way it is first. So when we get to JavaScript, you will now understand it very well, just to make it responsive. So I said we are looking at what? How to create a responsive NavBar. How to create a responsive NavBar. With 3 languages, but majorly 2, we champion it. And what are the languages? You can put them in bracket, HTML, CSS, and 1% of JavaScript. How to create a responsive NavBar using 3 words, languages, such as HTML, CSS, and 1% of JavaScript, so that you will not think that we have started what? JavaScript. Are we together? So I'm going to quickly start by creating a new file. So I will say what? Res nav dot HTML, just a new file. Okay? So the next thing we are going to do, most of them are familiar. So I will activate my HTML default file. So for those of us that were in the last class, you can be coding alongside with me because I don't think you need more explanation. Because most of the things are almost the same. Then why those that were not in the last class should not code, they should just be observing and be writing their notes. Then you too should be writing though, but yeah, you want to code, you can code. So I'll start by activating my HTML what? Default what? File. And I'm using HTML5. I don't know why this thing is so bent. If somebody can help me to adjust it. But if you can understand it like this, no problem. Let's proceed. Let's avoid distraction. Let's just go first. So now, after activating your default file, the next thing I'm going to do is to I think it's better like this, right?
is to create my HTML structure. And I told us that structure means what? The shape, which is usually defined by the what? The HTML tags together with their what? Contents. So I will start with div. Now look up. So that it doesn't look as if those of us that were in the last class, you are repeating class. So I'm going to be introducing some techniques. I want to create a div and I want to class that div flex, just like what we did last time. You know, I can create it first and go inside the opening tag and call class attribute, and then I will say what? Flex, right? So this is what I'm going to do. So I will just say I will just do something like this, div dot flex. Once I hit enter, see what happened now? So instead of me creating the div, then I will go there and say what? Class. I just said what? Div dot what? Flex. Which means that what? Create a div tag and class it what? Flex. If you try it for p tag, say p tag, maybe you want to create p tag and class it, to not work. It's only for some unique element. So now I will now open it. Which means that what? The entire navigation bar will be created, designed inside what? This container, right? So I've acknowledged this as what? Container. That is the reason why I expanded it. And I gave you an advice that you should be conscious of how you are structuring your what? Your HTML what? Code in order to help you in CSS. Package your HTML structure well so that you will not find it difficult in the CSS aspect. Now, inside this first container, I want to create nav. Nav is a tag. We discussed this last time, right? Is a tag that is primarily created for the purpose of creating what? NavBar. But that does not mean that it cannot be used to create another what? Content. Does anybody understand that? This room that we are in is created for what? Lectures, right? We can wake up and say, we don't want lecture to take place here. We put other things here, right? Good. But the primary function of this room is for lectures. So the same thing. The nav is for creating NavBar. But if you decide that, okay, you want to put p tag there, fine. You want to group some what? Other elements, fine. So the intention is to create other elements. The first element I am creating inside this is the logo, right? Which we created what? With H1 tag. That is what we are looking up to what? Test logo. And I said, for those of us that want to use our image logo, you use what? IMG, right? So you must have saved the logo somewhere. So in this case, I will give it a class so that if I have other H1 in this file, there will not be what? Contradiction. So I'll name it what? Logo. I'll name it logo. Then after that, remember a logic that we use. I can say, okay, NIIT, but we added what? Span tag, right? In order for us to style the T differently. So that one is settled. So the next one, inside this same NavBar, I want to create what we call hamburger. Let me use comment to explain that. Hamburger. So hamburger is an icon that we Yes. There won't be H1. There will be what? Image tag. Now, what I'm saying is this. I explained something like this last time. Now we are targeting responsiveness. That's the reason why we are bringing hamburger. We did not capture hamburger in that other one because that one was built for only laptop what? Users. Now we are considering a situation whereby people that will be using phone. If I come back here, people that will be using phone, the phone width will not permit them to what? To display home like this, display about us. Are you getting it? So we want a situation whereby if it is on phone, all these should be collapsed into what? 3 lines like this, which you normally see. I mean, so professionally, this 3 lines is called what? Hamburger. So next time, I will not say 3 lines again. Instead, I'll be using what? Hamburger. All right? Okay. So now, that hamburger is what I am planning inside. I'm still inside the NavBar. I'm not creating it inside what? The div. Inside it, what I'm going to do to accommodate that, I will create another div. And that div will have a class name, menu-toggle. Menu what? What? Toggle. So I'll say what? Div dot menu what? Toggle. And then I press enter. Are you following? The purpose of this is just to give me what? The hamburger. So what I am going to do, there are 3 ways there are many ways we can do it, but in this particular project, I'm using JavaScript. Probably in one of the projects, I will use what? HTML. So if I create, in some cases, you see somebody will open what? 3 what? Different what? Span tag. So which means that what? Each span tag represents what? 1 line, 1 horizontal line. But I will not give them any content. This is one logic, but I'm not using this logic. I'm using JavaScript to implement it. So for that reason, I am not doing anything. I will just create the div and add the class name. So JavaScript knows what to do. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to step out. We are still inside what? The second container, which is inside what? The first what? Container. Hope you are taking note of the structure, right? Now here, I want to list out my menus. So I will create what? UL, right? As another container. So this UL is the one that will list what? Home as anchor tag and what? About us. So inside this, I'm classing this class. Now, there was an idea I gave to us that anytime you are classing or ID an element, please always use a name that describes what you want to achieve with it. So that when you see, oh, this is what I achieved. Like now, what did I put here? Menu what? Toggle. I know that is for toggling between home to what? About us. So when I click on it to open a vertical what? Navigation bar. So indirectly, what we are creating now, this project, is what? Both horizontal bar, number, and what? Vertical what? Number. On laptop, it's going to give us what? Horizontal what? Number. On mobile phone, it will give us what? A vertical what? Number. Is that clear? Okay. So I am classing this nav-link. You see, that is what? This particular container is what? Navigation link. Is for holding what? Navigation link. So naming your class is a skill. Now, the next one is, I don't want to just mention them. They are going to be clickable what? Text. In other words, they are going to be hypertext, not just what? Plain text. Start with me, you understand what I mean by what? Hypertext and what? Plain text. I told us that what hypertext, they are what? Link, right? They are clickable. They are text in a website that when the user click on them, take the user from that current interface to what? Another what? Interface. So addibbing this home about us, they are just to be mentioned. Then I will just type what? Li, right? And call what? Home. And call home. But that is not what we want. What we want is that what? They should be hypertext. For that reason, I will next anchor tag inside what? The Li. Then the content, it is the A that will now what? Carry that content, which is what? The hope. Hope I'm communicating. So the next thing I'm going to do is to, remember I said the link here, the URL, that is what that href represents, the destination. Where will the user be taken to when they click on what? This text called what? Home. The address here is what? Index dot what? HTML, not home. Are you with me? I said the compressed version of the entire website page is called what? Index. The word index means what? To compress. That is what? Is the copy of your website page that contain, that generated other words, pages. And it is usually called the landing page. That is why we use the word home to describe it, instead of saying what? Index. So I will simply copy this, right? To save my time. Control C to do what? To copy, right? Then come down, Control V to paste, enter, Control V, enter, Control V. Then let's say I have how many? Remember I said we should not have more than 5. How many do I have now? So where you have more than 5, then you create a what? A drop down, which is going to be the next project, not this one. So now let me just paste one more, and then I'll go back and start changing. Here, I'll change here to what? About. Then change the description to what? About also. Then here, change this to what? Contact, right? Depending on how you want them to be ordered. And I advise that we should not use capital letter as a link name, but you can use any case for the description. Please. It is not compulsory. It just what? An advice. So here, let's put what? Let's say this one is an e-commerce website. The other one we targeted the school, right? So if it's an e-commerce website, that means what? Shop will come in here. So this is where we are going to publish all our products, right? Shop page, and it's going to be also .html. So let me put what? Shop here. So the next one is gallery, where we are going to showcase some of the what? The pictures, or we can even have what? Services. You know, shop page is different from what? Services. Services, you can mention the list of what you do, but where you want them to buy online is in the what? The shop page. It's in the what? The shop page that you activate what we call the shopping carts, right? The shopping carts, where somebody can click and they will be taken to what? Payment what? Channel for them to what? To pay online, not in the service page. Service page is just to display what? The services and their what? The random product images. So let me also change this to service. Okay, now let's check the front end. Let's check the front end because this front end is different from the one we have been seeing, right? So let's check the front end. How do we check the front end? You right click on the document and then you navigate to what? Open with what? Live server. It's an extension that we have installed before now. So this is what we have designed so far. This is what we have designed so far. So if I ask you now, are we saying that the user interface is friendly? That is why we're going to build CSS, right? But let's see if we are done with the HTML structure. So I'm coming outside this. I want to put that subscribe button there. I'm coming outside what? The UN, because that should be inside what? The UN. So I will use button, right? That was what we used last time, right? Button tag. And then the button tag, I will specify its type because of the intention. I will say what is button. Then also class it for unique identification. And then I'm giving it a class name. So what? Subscribe hyphen BTN. BTN mean what? Button. In Bootstrap, most of this class I'm using, they are Bootstrap what? Class name. I have my reason why I am playing this way. I'm indirectly introducing us to what? To the way we are going to be speaking what? Bootstrap. So that when we get to Bootstrap, it will not be difficult for us. So now I believe we are through with our structure. So we'll come back to this place when we get to the JavaScript aspects. But I want to go for CSS before I come to what? JavaScript. The order of implementing these languages. Start from where? HTML for the structure, CSS for the styling, JavaScript for adding actions. You don't go to JavaScript where you have not concluded your CSS. That's the order. So now, because I did not use some of the spaces, I'm clearing them so that my code will look more, presentable. So this is the structure. Now let's quickly go to the CSS. Now CSS is a language which is used to decorate. CSS is the makeup artist, right? The makeup artist is the one that add beautification to this content. That is the work of CSS. The one that add what? Beautification to this content. Now, and I explained to us that every UI UX designer, not every UI UX designer, let me rephrase it. Every web developer that want to be addressed as what? UI what? UX what? Designer need to know how to fine-tune those HTML presentation with what? CSS. The way they look. Need to improve them. Who are the UI UX designer? These are what? People who create what? User interface. And I did mention that what? Graphic designer, they are there. Web developer, not just web developer, the front end, any front end developer is expected to be addressed as what? UI what? UX designer. Products developers. They are also called what? UI, UX designer. It's very important. What is the business of these people? Simple, just to give good experience to users, to make users feel all right, either on an application interface or what? Website what? Apps. And I have mentioned it before. I hope you know that as a web developer, you are also an app developer. Do you know that you are also an app developer? So that you will not see where they place an advert tomorrow now. And they say what? App developer is needed. Did they say mobile app? They say what? Web app? What is their advert title? App developer. My brother and sister, you are qualified to enter. When they now ask you, which aspect of what application development are you? You will now say what? I develop apps that runs on what? Website or web-based applications. So it is not left for them. They don't need you. Not a crime. After all, an opportunity. You have been able to see their office. At least you have entered inside now. So if the office is fine, at least you have seen your eyes, you have feel your eyes. So please, that's the reason why we are learning JavaScript. Everything you are going to do with JavaScript is to build what? Web apps. All right, so now let's go to CSS. I have to recap that CSS because of the people that just joined the class. Now, I want to create external CSS. External CSS means your HTML code as totally separated from what? Your CSS code. And I said this is encouraged to foster what? Debugging, to make debugging easier. They will call debugging. The other time we debug now, right? All the code we wrote did not work at once as I was writing them. At a point, some were not working. I have to go and that's debugging. So I have already created a CSS folder, which means that what? I have a folder that is holding all my what? Styling what? Files. So I will open it and then click on what? Add file, and then say this one is for this file. So how do I know that this CSS is dedicated for styling all the HTML elements in this file? I will use that same name, which is what? Res what? Nav. But the extension will be different. Instead of .html, should that be what? What? CSS. And the global symbol of CSS is what? Hash. The global symbol of HTML is what? Anchor, the angle bracket, right? So I'll click outside. So I just created what? CSS file. Now, because this is external CSS, I have to link them. They have to be what? Connection. And to connect it, I have to go back to the HTML file, then go to the head section, and then type what? Link. Then hit enter, where you have href / to access all the directories, right? So from here, select what? CSS, right? From CSS, then you can now see the CSS what? File name. Now we have connected them. Now I want to start my styling. I said when you are styling, you should prioritize the hierarchy where I talk about what? DOM. What is DOM again? What is DOM again? What is DOM again? Document. Let me drink water while you are scanning your brain. Those people that were not in the last class, but they were in the first class, I mean, was it in the first class that I mentioned it? Was it that last class? Was it the immediate last class? Okay, that means I cannot ask them. I wanted to punish them by asking the question before. I thought I said it in the previous class. Eh? Yes, 40/100. You know, in school now, pass is no longer recognized because of the rate of unemployment. Nobody recognized pass again. Oga, the other end. You know, you have done all these things with me before. So help us. Document model. The D represent document. The DO. Then the M, okay, model. Document model. Can any other person try? Let's know whether they are correct by joining DO for documents, whether the O has its own separate word. Because something is telling me that they are not correct. These people like shortcuts. That's why they are merging to document what? Object what? Or manipulation. That M can represent what? Manipulation. But I will use manipulation when I'm in JavaScript because we have what? JS what? DOM. But if it is HTML DOM, that is why I'm using what? Model. Because it is in HTML that you are modeling, you are creating the structure. That's why I'm not using the M as what? Manipulation. But in JavaScript, you manipulate what has been modeled. Are you with me? Now, I said document object modeling is simply considering the relationship between your what? Your HTML what? Elements. Now let's go there. Look up, look up, look up. I need to zoom out a little bit. What is the relationship between nav tag and the div tag? What I'm doing now, I am what? Modeling what? This document now. What is the relationship between nav and div? I told us once sometime that it will get to a point where if you miss some question, you buy Motor Guinness for me. It's not easy to re-explain now. I mean, you are not reading your notes, you are stressing me. You want to help us out? 1/10. You can try. Okay, you are still on it. Okay. Offline. You can try again next time, sir. Thank you for attempting. Huh? The parents. If not, I have some expenses, I will have promised you Motor Guinness. There's one that I promised Motor Guinness in this class. Or is it? Okay, not this class, have you? Okay. It's like you are the one that took it. No one that you know that is not this class. Okay, so parents. This parent to what? Now, what is the relationship between this H1 and the div? No, if we are talking from the H, look at what I mentioned. The relationship between H1 to div, not div to H1. There are two different things. So, grandchild. Then, if I said from div to what? H1, then you now say what? Parent to grandchild. You need to know all this because if you don't know this, you will not know how to style in CSS. You don't know how to assess. Because in CSS, look at the reason why I have to take us back there. Because right now, I am in a separate CSS file and I want to talk to an element in Kaduna. So I must know I'm in Asaba. I must have a way of recognizing what I am talking to in what? Kaduna. So now, let's go back and check. I want to select nav. Is it a class element? Is nav a class element? Oh yeah. Let's check the HTML code now. We are still on it. Is nav a class element? People are not sure. If you say no, tell us the reason why it's not a, tell us why it's not a class element. So how are we going to select it now? If it's not a class element, it's not an ID element with the tag name, right? So I will simply say what? Let me use comment, right? What are we styling now? Styling what? The what? The nav what? Element, right? To cut off all those with the class name this. So I will just say what? Nav, then open my CSS block. Sir, you told us that if we are styling, we should start from the top, right? Why did you jump this one and jump to this? Can anybody tell us why I don't want to bother myself with that one? If I style it, it will affect all of them. The full container. Now, it is your choice. It is your choice, actually. I can come back to it later. But based on the type of NavBar that we are considering, I have considered this not to play a major role for now. Maybe when we are through, I can either give the whole of that nav session background color with what? With that div. So I just put that to show that what? Okay, in case I want to float everything, I will use what? This one to float it. But what matters to me now, what is this? So going back there quickly, so the first thing I'm going to do is to display what? Flex. Somebody was typing flex and posted in the group that somebody make a request now. Was it not your group? That my flex is not working. No. And when I checked the code, I saw the error. I kept quiet. I said, I expected someone else to be able to answer him. The mistake the person was making is this. Instead of saying display flex, he just typed me flex. I was looking for where I could see display. There was nothing like display, but I was seeing flex. And he was not looking for value to give to flex. Maybe flex, you know, say column display. I don't know. Yeah, I understand. That is why I did not help the person on time. Sometimes in programming, you don't rush to help people so that they can increase their debugging skill. Because each time the person shouts, you help, you will know how to debug. The person will be given room to expand, to think critically. So let's quickly, now if I go back to, I've explained this, I don't want to waste time on this. In the last class, I told us what we are trying to achieve with this. If I come back here, in your nav, how many items do you have there? You have this as one, right? Hello? In your nav, you have what? H1 as the logo inside it. You have what? D for the what? Hamburger inside it, right? Then you have what? UL for the link, right? Inside it. How many items do we have? 3 inside, including bot itself, right? 4, right? We want to display them block. That's what each of them should take column, each column, not to display inline. That is the reason why we put what? Display flex. So if I go back to the front end now, you can see that what? Can you see it now? So now this is a column. This is another column. This is another column. But before they were displaying what? Inline. That is the meaning of what? Display what? Flex. And I said you shouldn't use display flex on individual element outside what? Container. That is what? You are referencing a container that you have item inside it, and you are saying that the item inside that container should be taking what? Each column. That's what you are saying. Am I communicating? All right. Now, the next CSS is align item. Align item. So I'm using different, you can see that what? There are some differences in what? CSS what? Properties that I'm using here. Somebody asked some time ago that, how can somebody know all these properties? Sir, are we supposed to be cramming all these properties? I don't know whether anybody is going to ask the same question. Somebody asked this question, not this class. I want to know whether this question can help somebody. Somebody want to ask this question too in this class, right? The solution is the more you use them, the more you get used to them. You create the first NavBar. We use some set of what? CSS. This is another NavBar now. I am using some that we use there, and I'm bringing what? New. If all in your life you have created only one NavBar, you'll be short of what? CSS what? Property. So I've said this to challenge you. When you are done with one NavBar, create another NavBar. Create another NavBar. The more you are coding, the more you get used to doing this. I remember those days when I was just in this field. Then I can try my brain. I can come to the cloud without anything from A to Z. But now I'm getting older. Not only that, I have cybersecurity content here. I have data analysis content here. I have data science content here. I have graphic design content here. Now I cannot try my brain again. I don't want to run mad. You know what I do? This morning, I switched the brain to web development. In the afternoon now, I will switch to what? Cybersecurity. Before I go to bed, I know what I want to do the next day. I switch the brain. I remain blunt. Now, the brain will be able to select, to give me only what? HTML, CSS. Start forgetting. But I enhance myself by having a note that once I see it, I know what to talk about. But you are still growing now. You can cram everything now. Cramming is very dangerous. Please don't cram. Don't cram. This is an expensive advice I want to give to you. Hey, hold on. You cannot stay. See, let me give you this. Your brain, no matter how brilliant you are, you live 200 years, you cannot use more than 30% of its capacity. So when somebody tell me that when you are no good to run man, it's a lie. People that are no good at run man, people are cram. When you know it, you cannot run mad. Me, I don't learn to cram. I learn to know. When I know it, no matter the volume of it I have here, I can never run mad. But when you try to cram, you know web development, you cram. You want to enter that, you cram. And whether you run mad, you run mad. That is, just make sure you know it. Don't cram. If you miss, and you'll be disturbed. But all these things, I know them. All I need a reminder. Once I see it, I can explain it. But if it is cramming, I'll be lost. So it's just an advice. Now, align item, align item, align item. I said something last time that there are some CSS property you don't involve except you are talking to a container with things inside it. Item is what? Content, right? What are we talking to now? Nav, is it a container? Hello, let's go back to our HTML. Is nav a container? How do you know that it's a container? Because it has what? H1 inside. That is, if you call p tag now, you can go and try where you get to. What I'm going to achieve with this now, just call p tag and say align item. It will move. Because that command know that what? It is for what? When you have things inside that p tag before calling what? That align item. Now, let me go to the front end and check. I said what? Align item. And I am saying what? Center. Center. Align item, center. Let's go to the back end and check. What has changed? Can you see that this particular end item was at the top before? I don't know if you take note of what happened. Now, for you to understand it, let's go back. Let me go back to the CSS. Please, this is the best way. See, when you are practicing as a beginner like this, don't write all the CSS. Those of you that somebody will snap code because he missed class or she missed class. When they give you the code, when you are writing the CSS in your CSS file, you will not write all of them one. Then you now go to the front end. You will not know what each of them are doing. Let me say this idea. What is that? When you write one, go to the front and check. Oh, okay, this is how it was before. As I added it, this is how that is how you know the work of it. Now, I want to temporarily take off this. Then I go back to the front end. Check the display now. Can you see where the NIT is? Right? Now, which means that, let me tell you what is happening here. There is a container. I told us last time that what? All elements are what? Box model. That is what? They are all in what? Invisible what? Boxes, right? Now, within this box, now, is this NIT at the center of this box? No. Good. Now, let's go back to the front end so that you know what that we're doing. Now, if I go back to my CSS and pray and reactivate it, then go back, alpha is now what? At the center of that box. So each of these items, they are now at the center. Look at this small box that you were seeing there before. Let me clear this. Look at this box before, this box. I don't know if you have seen it. It was 100% like this before. But now, it has gone to what? To the center of that box. That is meaning of what? Align item. The reason is that by the time we end up flexing all this inline block, all of that, like the challenge we were having the other time when we were trying to make that subscribe button, we no longer have that issue because all the items have now be placed at the center within the container they are in. Everything will be on the same horizontal level. That's the meaning. Horizontal level, not, are you getting it now? Horizontal level. So the next one is justify content. You see, this is another CSS property that should not be used on what? Individual elements. Only what? On container. Justify content. And this is what? You want to justify content. I said, well, space in between. Let me add it before I explain it. Space in between. Space in between. That is what? Horizontal or space between each of them. You want to distribute them what? Evenly, horizontally. The other one was what? Vertically. Now, if I go back to the front end now, I check. What did you see now? You can see that what? There is reasonable space here, and then before this. Look at where you have it here. It's here. Justify content. Now, at the end of the day, we are going to display this what? Inline block, right? For this one to what? To be horizontal. So let's keep going. So the next one is what? Background. Background. The background I want here, I'm using a hexadecimal method of selecting color. I mentioned it in the last class. Web developer that uses name to call color, they are basic what? Developer. They will run out of name of color one day and they will regret. You are claiming you know color very well. When the client says use pink colors, person like me, I don't know colors. So, but if I'm using RGBA or what? Hexadecimal, I can easily what? Calculate my color. Hexadecimal means what? You start with hash, and then when you combine some numbers and letter, that will calculate what? Color. So in this case, I have what? 00416 capital letter A or small letter A will give me this color. So if I go back to the front end and check, that is the background color of my what? My NavBar. If I want this background color to be an image, what will I do? An image background. Maybe you have designed it with Photoshop or any of those canvas, whatever it is. You have a beautiful background and you want to use it. What will you do? Background image. You will not use what? Just background. Okay? All right. The next one is padding. Nobody should ask me what is padding. We all know what is called padding, right? So padding is the internal space. Internal space between the content and what? The border lines what? Around it, right? So if I go back now to check whether it did add anything, yes. Consider what? Because of the background, right? So for now, I think I need to turn off what? The background, right? For now. Somebody can remind me later that to turn it off so that we can be seeing everything first.
Well, I thought because we have in the center, we're going to want to use padding.
No, this padding, I said something that you are creating this website for multiple devices. The padding may not be useful on laptop view, but it's not only laptop you are looking at. In fact, you are looking at mobile phone 100%. We're looking at laptop 10%. So most of these things now we are considering when the website is shrink later to mobile size. What will be the padding? There will be space between them. If not, there will be what? Lapping. Are you getting it? Right now there is space, but once we reduce it now, we don't want stacking. Okay, so now we continue. So we are through with that. Now let me go to logo. So here, styling the what? The logo. So the logo, I think that is the H1 that we class what? Logo, right? Hope you understand where this is coming from. I like going back to check. This is what we are styling now. There's an element you class logo. Look at this. H1. You try, you know what we are talking to. Okay, are you following? Okay. Now, logo, I want to start because it's a test logo. So call like if it's an image, you're working with what? Width, height, right? Because it's text, that's why you are using font size. So I'll say font size. I'm using another unit that you can use instead of pixel. 1.5 what? Rem is a unit. 1.5 rem is a unit. So your assignment, go and find out the full meaning of what? Rem. So it's a unit. So you can see that what? The size have changed. I will ask for it in the next classroom. The casual assignment. Now, the next one is I want to enhance the color. The color is, if I use white, I cannot use white now because that white was when I was still on. In fact, let me use it now and bring back what? My background, right? Because I should be able to see it now. So if I go back there, so you can see what? The logo now. Now, it's affecting both the T because we have not spoken to what? To the span tag, remember, right? Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do here font weight. Font weight is another way of bolding. So you can go to what? You can say font style, bold. Or you say what? Font weight, bolder, or what? Lighter, or what? Bold. So just to increase the thickness a little bit. So now the next property, I think the size for now, we can leave it that way. Let's go to the next one. The next one is yes. So I will call the parent element. I will use the parent element to access the child. So I will say what? Dot what? Logo, then space what? Span. Do you understand this logic the other time? Sorry. Okay, good. Let me see, put it here. Dot what? Logo, space what? Span. Do you remember this logic? What the actual element you are talking to is what? The span. So you only use what? The parent element. So that in case you have another span tag within this file, there won't be what? Conflicts. So the next one, what I'm going to do here is that I want to turn off all these dots. I think I need to go back, but we all know that there are some dots there because we use what? On other lists. So I want to turn them off. So let me, for the sake of persons that have not seen it before, let me go back. You can see this dot now, this dots, right? I want to turn them off. Those that were in the last class, can you give me the property to turn them off? Don't open your notes. List style. List what? Style. Then you say what? None. So let's go back there and check. What is happening? Let's debug it. What is? Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. So what I want to do here is color. You know, I brought back my background the other time, right? Now I want to talk to only the T. Only the T. So let's see, give it what? Red. And then I want the case. The case to be, that's what? Test transform, right? Test transform, upper what? Case. Even this should be duplicated here also, right? I want this to what? To be uppercase, right? The NII. So if I go back to the front end, now I have it here. But how come I have it? Okay, sorry. I know we have to change it to what? White, right? So if I bring back the background now, we should be able to see it. So if we go back there, perfect. Right? So now you are able to. Now, sometime, because of you want this NI to be white and the T to be red. If you don't know this, graphic designer will charge more money for your hand. You will not go and be graphic designer. Please help me design this text. The first 3 texts to be white, then this one should be red. Easily with Photoshop or CorelDRAW. Within a second, then export it as what? As a PNG, so that it doesn't come with background. And what? We bill it to you. Then you credit. It's something simple like this that you can well use this logic to achieve. You may not know some of the solutions that I am providing. Before we get to know all this in those days, they chop our money. Most of these things you are saying like this. Now, the next one is I want to talk to, let's go back to the structure so you know how we are prioritizing the tag. This is what we just spoke to now, right? I am skipping this because this will be handled by what? JavaScript, right? So where are we now? Here, right? For me to access this, I have to reference what? It with what? The parent, right? So I will say what? Nav space what? UN, good. So I'll come back here, I'll say what? Styling what? Styling the what? The list item, right? The list item. So I will say what? Nav space what? UN. Is it list item? Okay, yes. Because it sounds as if it's the LI that I want to talk to. The way we describe the comments. So I'll say want to style. Okay. We know that what? The UN is the one that will generate what? The LI. Let's still go with it. So what I want here is what? Is the one that will turn off those dots. This is where we have to talk to what? Let me go back. I want everybody to follow. Now look up. The right element to speak to turn off this dotted line is what? The UL, because it's the UL that created the markers, right? When we're learning UL now, right? That is why the other time we put it under that selector, it did not work. So here, so now that okay, let me add it first and ensure that it has gone before we go. So I will say what? List what? Style. I'll bring in the none. So if I go back now, they have gone. Okay, did you see it? So we have removed what? Why are we doing this? We want to look neat. So the next thing I want to do, I think, let me bring back the background because I want to be seeing the other text. The next thing I want to do is to display them flex. You see the logic now. We are now using flex. The other time I use what? Inline what? Block. Hello, did you understand it? The last class, for me to turn this, to turn all this to display horizontally, I use what? Inline block. Good. So you know that there are many ways to achieve all these things. The one you know, the one you know. So if I say what? Display, and I say what? Flex. If I come back here, in fact, we need to see this background is distracting me. Hope I will not change it to a background that. Let me see if I can just. No, it will affect other things that based on the way. Don't worry. It's part of it. So you can see that what they are now what? Horizontal. So you now have an idea of two ways to. Now, why is possible like this? I think it's the same structure now. So is that I use what? Block. Sorry, inline block, or use what? Display what? Flex.
So here now, we're not using a space in between them.
No. Space in between is not a value of display. It's a value of align item. Sorry, align content, something like that. Let me see. We use it here now. Where is it here? Was it not here? Sorry, justify content. That's when we have what space. It's not display. So now the next one is gap. Gap. Then we use what? We use another property because look up here. You now discover that they are touching each other. There should be gap, space between them. But then we use another property to achieve it. What do we use? Which property do we use there? They want to go again. You do your notes every day. Oh yeah, let me give you 1 minute to do it. Take your notes.
Another one which is quite content. When you use space in between.
Space in between.
Yes.
The spy content.
Yes.
Now, here we are using what? Gap is another option. Gap. So gap, I will say, okay, give me 20 what? PS space between them. So if I go back now, did you see it now? Perfect. If you forget one, you remember the other one. Yes. There are many ways to kill the rats. That is why I always advise students that you don't claim I too know in tech. You don't try to isolate yourself in tech. Form a network, teamwork. I have boss in Lagos that if you choke me on anything, I'll call the person if I come to this class. If I am trying something, I don't want to tell you, I just, sir, the only thing is that when I finish ending that call, I save his account details. When I finish ending that call, he must receive a lot, no matter small. So that next time, if you see my call like this, he's a pastor now. He's an overseer of a church now. If you see my call, if he does not pick it, once he's free, say, I'll prosper. So nobody will not get a guy. Don't think that because I am flowing like this, I'm at the top. I'm still learning one way or the other. If I know inline block, did I know what is it called? Display flex? That's the reason why when you meet other developer, you do as if you don't know. So that, because there is one thing I've come to learn in this life. Once you are around people and you try to post that you know more than them, they will hide what they know from you. So the best way, when you come across people for the first time, do as if you know nothing, so that they will want to teach you. But the moment you come, you start showing, guy, this person, I don't go from my hand. It's a logic. It's a logic. So it's very important. Just an advice. As you are in this class now, when you graduate now, you should be giving yourself work. This is your first network. How will you be giving yourself work? Who can tell me how you'll be giving you? See, there are some that will be giving others in this class job, the nearest future. How will you have? Who can suggest? There are two things that will happen to you. You will end up giving other job. Maybe you came to NIC so that a lot of work, number one. You are bigger than 600,000. You are already handling billions of naira. You will not be able to sit down and be coding again. The level don't high. You will not become a consultant. That is what I'm doing now. The only time you see me sitting down sometime, it is when I am teaching like this. If it is service, I have people that will just give it to. I don't have time. I don't have time. And I will make more money even than if I'm to do it by myself. You see the logic now. Without stress, so. But your own may not be my own. Me, I'm an instructor. You may end up being what? A service person. So you become a contractor. What will you be doing? Because you have done the training, you know how to quote web development what? Job. If they ask you now that, if government want to give you contract, the quotation you will write, what and what do you want to use the money for? You must write it each. How much is going to cost you for hosting? How can somebody who is not in this field know how to speak the term? Does he even know what is called hosting? So it's very important to build network. That is what I'm saying. Build network. Don't work alone. Be a Liverpool fan. Never work. Look for somebody to work with. That's why I was tackling this man. That means the whole of this class now, you don't have friends. And you have spent how many weeks with us that you can call? What happened today in the class? You have to make friends, so very important. And you guys are my direct friend. That is why you must go to my YouTube page and subscribe. Subscribe. If the subscription is not increasing, I'm suspecting this class. People are not subscribing. And guess what? If you subscribe there, you will see me uploading cybersecurity. How many people are subscribed there? You can see different things that you are accessing there without paying for it. If you are wise, if you are smart, you can learn a lot of things there free. Because even my master class, the one I take online, I put everything there. This is what people pay those data analytics. People that you see there, about 3 of them are from UK, Canada. They pay 600,000 each. Some are from Nigeria here. Those are the things I'm putting there that you are watching free. Somebody pay for it. As I said, on the internet, nothing is free. Everything you see free, somebody has paid for it. You are just a lucky person. So go and subscribe. You get more updates as time goes on. And people that are watching this video, go and subscribe. Just search for Digital Z at Hub. Digital Z Hub. You see there. Just search for Digital Z Hub. Okay. No, you're not the one I'm talking to. I'm talking to the online people. So it's very important. So build network. Build network. In case you mistakenly lose my contact tomorrow, you can retrieve me back. Just go to, I subscribe to his YouTube page. Let me go there. The phone number is there. I can never tell. No, very soon. I'm traveling out of the country. I'll be the one to be connected. Those of you that are first of all travel. If I first to travel, when you first me travel, connect me. I beg, bro. All right. So now we understand what is what? Gap. So if after using that 20 PS, if the space is not enough, probably you are considering, what is this space doing? What is this space doing? You are like, the space between this and this is too much. I want to see what? Spread them. What will you do? You increase the gap from 20 to what? Maybe to 40. Let's try it now. But consider mobile. Don't say because everything is falling in place in websites, in a laptop. You now consider that, this is the best. But we are not considering that this same website will be uploaded where? Or will be accessed through mobile phone. That 40 might disorganize what? The arrangement on phone, but it's displaying well on laptop. So always stay on the average. So let me stick to that 20. The next thing I want to style is now I want to speak to the anchor tag. I'm skipping the list, the li. I'm going straight to the what? To the A, content. So how do I do that? I will say what? Nav, right? Space, UL, space, what again? LI, space, and then what? A. Which means that what? I have skipped what? Talking to what? The list. Because there's nothing that I want to do there. So I will just open my bracket. So what I want here, text decoration. I discovered that what? This letter come with underline by default, right? I want to turn them off. It's part of what we used the other time. Text decoration. Okay, are you following? I expected your eyes to be here. Now, text decoration. Then I will select what? None, right? That is what we did the other time, where we don't even want any design. If I want those lines to be at the top, what will I do? I'll put what? Overline, for the sake of those that were not in the last class. The next one, color of those texts. The background we are using, are we okay with the color? So I'm turning it to what? To white, because I'm bringing back what? Okay, the background is even there. No, I've not reactivated the background. Where is it? Okay, let me bring it back. Because I have plan. So you guys will not come to the class and change my plan. I have planned. Every teacher prepare before coming to class. So you don't want to. That's why this year I wanted to start to change my background color. You don't know that background color can change other things. The calculation I've done. Okay, go and do your own later. I want to work with it. You can see the way everything is falling in place. So this is my original plan. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to enhance the boldness. So I will say what? I will use that same concept, which is what? Font what? Weight. I will use what? Bold. Let me write the other one. I will just add transition. Who can tell us what is our intention with a transition? Transition 0.3 second. The speed is part of what? Elementary animation. When we get animation proper, because we are going to do scale, maybe something like maybe like hover. When they hover, we are programmed the speed at which is going to increase or what? Zoom in or what? Zoom out. So there's a plan for this. So now we are coming to the hover. I want to add a kind of effect. This is actual appearance. When they enter the website, they will see this link with this color. Then if they touch anyone, it will change to what? Red. In other words, I'm calculating my colors. So that will take us to what? Adding hover effect. Hover effect. I pray I get to the responsiveness aspect of it today. So I'm going to reference what? Nav space what? UL space LI space what? A. Then I'll bring in what? Column. Then type what? Over. Right? Hope you remember the syntax. Then you open it. Then it's just the color differences I want. Just color. So I'll say color. Color, I will use hexadecimal method based on the background color that I've calculated before. FF6600. So this is the color. So now it means that what? I have to change my plan if I hover. But is this color family of this color? I think it goes. But if you want to tell you what unique, then you can change it to what? This. You say what? Red. So you can see the hover now. You can see the transition is the speed of that effect coming out. That's 0 what? So now we have added that. So the next thing I want to do is what? The subscribe button. You know, it's as if that one have disappeared. It's somewhere there, right? The subscribe button. So let's quickly speak to that. And the class name is what? .subscribe. Subscribe hyphen what? BTN. Remember, in our HTML. Let me go back there and refresh our memory. Look at it here. We class it what? This. Can I put what? Sorry, I can't hear you. Okay, yes. Thank you. So no wonder it was showing only that small box. So let's go back there and see whether it's here now. Okay, so let me take off this. Okay, it's there. You can see that what? That align center the other time. Everything is. So we are not facing that challenge we were facing the other time. So now I go back to my CSS. So the first thing is what? Is all background. It's all background. Background. I will use that same background. This color I use. I want to combine it now. The color I use for that hover effect now. I will use it, which is as what? This. So if I go back there now, the background color, what happened to that? Means the class name is not correct, the spelling is not correct. So let me just, to help myself, Let me come back here and simply what? Copy it. Control C, and then come back to this. Then just paste it here. Control V. Then go back now. Okay, not put dots. I have good debuggers here now. Oh, okay, so let's check. Perfect. Now, the next thing I want to do is color of the write-up. Color of the write-up to blend with the color of what? The link, which is what? White. So you can see the way we are calculating color. By the time you come with your project now, I don't want to see automatic color. So you can see the way we are communicating the color. That is how it should go. The next one is border. Let me see if I'm going to. Border, there is border line here, but I want to turn it off, right? I don't want border line. I want it, consider what? It's no longer showing that black default what? Border color. So the next thing I want to achieve is padding so that there could be space. Try to space out. Padding, and then I will use 8 PS for one side and then 15. In other words, I need more padding space on one side. I believe you understand the theory. We need more padding here. That 8 is what? The one is top and bottom, left and right. That 8, based on the space we are getting here, which one is more? 8 and 15. Which one is 15? Why this one is what? 8. Okay, so let's go there. Then it's going to be a clickable test. So I want some border radius before the cursor pointer. Border radius, I just want 5 PS. So if I go back and select, can you see it now? Border radius, the edge are curved a little. I just want it to appear that way. So the next one is cursor. Now let me tell you what that cursor does. If I click here now, you are not seeing the hand sign. Look at the board. That test supposed to be what? Clickable test. You are not seeing the hand sign. Now, if I come here now and I say what? Cursor. And I say what? Pointer. Pointer here. Pointer. If I come back now, I hover, you see it now. Can you see it? That is the work of that cursor. So that is all. Now, thank God I still have time to huh? No, I don't want to add over. You can do that. Add that for me, Ashara. Now, I want to get to where the main place I'm going to. All these ones is just like I repeated what we did. But thank God that it's not wasted effort because we brought in what? Different words, CSS. Now, the main class now is about to start, which is the responsiveness. Now, when I started, I showed us how you can test for what? Responsiveness. If I click here now, another way, I can reduce this like this and then start going gradually. I don't want to use that right-clicking inspecting option. This is another way you can check for what? Responsiveness. So as you are going, this is what? Tablet. Now you can see that what? It's cutting. This is on average device. You can see even the T has moved to the next line. So this is the manual way you can check for what? Responsiveness. Yeah, this one is for tablet. Because I said the default code, that one we have in the Meta. SaaS for laptop and what? And the tablets. So now, it's not responsive. So therefore, how do we make it responsive? What we are targeting at what? Once I reduce what to mobile view, all this will have turned to what? The hamburger. That is where we are going, right? Good. Now, let's quickly go and apply that. So let me use comments. Adding responsiveness. Using CSS property called media query. Media query. You see, for those of us that do not want to learn Bootstrap, you must know this one. That means that you will have to call each of the elements and be what? Determining their responsiveness. That is stressful. That is the reason why we now have Bootstrap as a framework where they must have written all this query across all devices as templates. So this same website that we are building now, you will now build it, but you build it on top of Bootstrap. But this one now, you are not building this one on top of Bootstrap. That is why you are manually considering what? The responsiveness. Do you have questions? Okay.
This one,
it depends on you, sir. But I want to ask you the same question. If you want to check for responsiveness, which one do you think is faster for you? Now that respect, that is better, I mean, that is your own choice. That is your own choice. But that one, you will not be able to check the responsiveness gradually. Because as we are moving, I was able to monitor the breaking point. We call that what? Breaking point. So that concept is drawn from elasticity. That every object has what? Breaking points. If I stretch you now, there's a point I will get to. That is why people will say, you have pushed me to the wall. Now I will react. That means what? I have got to what? My breaking point. Are you getting it? So that one I was doing, I can monitor what? Different devices, what? Breaking point. So when I move it small, if those items scatter, I'll know, oh, on a particular device, it will what? Break. When we get to Bootstrap, you understand that better. But is an individual thing. The one you feel is better for you. All right. So now, how do you write the @ media lookup? You say @media. @media. This is what we use. This is what Bootstrap use in what? Making your website what? Responsive. Just that Bootstrap have written it before you using it. But this one now, I am developing it. So that even when I'm using Bootstrap, I know what Bootstrap did for me. That's the reason why you are learning this manual. So now, @media, you will not specify. @media means what? Different devices. Phone is a media device, right? You're sleeping now. I'm seeing you. I will so snap you. I'll put you on Facebook. Not you. Talking to this one. You that kerosene. I'm seeing you very well. Sharp, I'm seeing you very well. That's not the issue. So I'll say what? Maximum width. See, you are setting a limit to a particular device. That on this device, the whole of this site, the whole of this component you are going to pick should not display beyond this. Now, it means that you must have gone to Google, if you don't know, mobile what? Resolution size. If you don't know, tablet what? Size. Go to Google and type different what? Devices or mobile devices what? Resolution. And their breaking points. Google will help you. Google must be one of your friends, though. The developer. You must research. It's part of your work. Now, so when we say something like this, maximum width, this is format, and then I say 768 PS is a mobile what? Device what? Resolution size. As mobile phone. That is what? The size. Laptop is about 1,444. 1,300. 1,200. That's laptop. Now, from that, you came down to what? Less than 800. That means what? You have actually come down to level of what? Phone. Before I can have 1,004, I will combine what? Two of it, approximately. So this is mobile what? Site. That is what? If somebody opened this website on phone, that have this size display everything 100%. Don't cut anything. That's the meaning. Okay, you can stand up. Stand up. Just don't worry. Are you sure? Okay. So that the sleep will run away. It's not punishment. It's just for you to. Maybe there's it there. I understand. Increase the fan now. They put the fan on the tree. Give myself. I need it. Thank you. 5. Eh? What? You have not. You are still on the way. We have not finished the code. I'm just explaining bit by bit. Now, you now open your CSS coiling bracket. Then what? You are wrapping an element inside the media query to control. So the media query is now the principal what? Is that the parent CSS now? Where you have parent elements in HTML. Which of the elements is going to coordinate? You now say what? Nav. Are you getting the logic now? Nav. Which means that what? This responsiveness is not for everything in your website. It's only for what? The nav. So if not that you want to use Bootstrap, when you anywhere you use Peter, you will not come here at media, Peter. Anywhere you use image, at media, image, all the elements for you to make them responsive, you have to be calling them one after the other. So that you know what Bootstrap is a must. That these days developer must learn what? Bootstrap. Because the stress is going to be much. Now, I will now come here and say display, flex wrap, flex what? Wrap. Display, flex wrap. This display is only on this device. So if I open this website on a laptop, all of this will keep quiet because it has a sensor. That is what? It will be watching on a device that have what? That 7.68 before it comes up. So if it's open on laptop, he knows that what? Laptop is more than what? 768. So it will not do anything. So it's none of your business now. Let the user begin to open the website on any device they like. Is this code anywhere? Is this code that I will be checking? Once he discovered that somebody opened this website on the phone and is checked, the phone resolution width is what? This. It will not call on what? This display flex. Instead of what? That display you use the other time. Are you following? Now, I am talking to not one thing. So I have spoken to what? This to be regulated by this. While I am still inside it, this is what closing bracket, right? I want to talk to another element. With what I came out. That's what I'm using one stone now. Instead of me calling them one after the other. Because these are the items that will be affected on mobile. Nav will be affected because the link are inside what? Nav. There's another item, that hamburger is also inside what? Nav. So I want to call it here and define how it should display. So I will say what? Dot what? Remember the class name. Dot menu hyphen what? Toggle, right? Is that not the class name? Let me look at this here. Look at this here. Look at this here. This is it now. Where is it?
Yes.
Double G, right? In fact, to avoid mistakes sometimes, just come and be copying the class name. You can debug from now to tomorrow. You don't even know that a spelling error that's happened. And when you eventually know, Jesus. So sometimes, just go and be copying the class name as well. I'll be pasting. So now I will just paste here. And then, before I forget, so it's part of what this media query will coordinate. At what point you should call that hamburger? That is what we are about to say now. So if it's on a full view on laptop, don't call it. So there is a resolution, which is what? That same what? 768. If the user is not using a device that the width or the resolution is not approximately 768. Don't bring those words, 3 lines, which we call what? Hamburger. They will not see it. That is what you are saying. For you to reference it inside this media query. So I will say display block. Then I want somebody who is creative to tell me why is block. Why is block? So that what? The link, the home, we take a new line. About, we take a new line. So that they will not stack. That is what all of you should take what, because I said it for that word, the difference between block and inline element is that block element take what? New line. While inline element display on the same word? Line. So you are saying that once somebody is using a device that the resolution is, or the breaking point is this, please, all those links should display what? Now I am still inside the media query. So I'll step out of this. I'm still capturing different elements that what? It should regulate differently on that what? Resolution. The next one is the dots nav. Sorry, we did not class our nav, right? Nav, and what? UL. That's another container that the item inside it can be scattered if we did not specify what? This. So I will open this. Then I will say flex direction. Now you are talking towards you want to change the navigation bar from horizontal to what? Vertical. Remember, I told you that what? We are creating 2 NavBar at once. On laptop, horizontal NavBar, right? On mobile phone, vertical. So that's why I'm bringing what? Direction. I will say what? Column. Column means vertical, please. Once it collapses to that hamburger, the NavBar, the UL, which is holding what? The LI and the anchor tag with the home, about, contact, should display what? Column, not like this. Are you getting it? Now, how will you display? Is it full width, or it should display maybe half width? I will say what? 100%. Use the whole. If I have some item under it that I don't want it to display and cover, because you know your normal website, there might be some things you must have designed on the body that when it collapses now, it will now be what? Obstructing them. Then you may not use what? 100%. So I will say what? Width, 100 what? Percent. According to my plan, before I start, I want to change my plan because it's booting. I know when you want to ask questions. That's why I like seeing everybody's face. It's booting. You want to ask questions. This is my plan. This is my plan. So now, let's go there. All these things, why I'm not going back there now? Let's see whether some of them have started talking. Yeah, that block is talking now. The one I just applied now, column, the direction. Can you see that what? They are not displaying vertically. But that hamburger, remember that what? Is JavaScript. That is why it's not working. Those 3 lines is JavaScript. Yes. But that one is already working. Now, let's go there. The next thing is what? Display. Display. Under it, I will say what? None. I want to know what that implements. Did you see it now? Display what? None. Do you know why I say none? Because I am suspending it for JavaScript. So JavaScript, once they move like this, the user should not be seeing those words. The user should not be seeing those links. It is up to them to click on that hamburger. Because if you leave it display here, then what is the work of the hamburger? That's the reason why you turn it off. Because the browser will always want to display it. You say that browser, don't display. I know where, I will tell you when there will be an action, which is what? Clicking. Somebody must click on one thing before they can see it. So we are moving gradually. So when you want to collect 1 million for website, it's worth it too. It's worth it. Don't let anybody pay you 100,000. You are not hungry. The only way you will collect 100,000, your first project, I permit you. I permit you as your master to collect what? 100,000 for the first project if the customer does not have money. So that you can have experience to market. Because subsequently, some customer will ask you, before I can trust you, how many websites have you built? So I will never give you that work until you send them an address of a website you have built. But trust Naija, they can just type one URL, one website, say I'm a designer, get the job. Because after all, your name will not be written there. But I don't think that was sometimes, most of this job, if you don't have experience, they will not give it to you. So my advice for you is that first contract, when you graduate, don't claim that you are a professional yet. Just design one, use that one to be marketing yourself. Go to your Facebook and be sharing that person, market that person free. Share the URL. I just finished building, more projects should start coming. I just finished active. I'm active. It was not sleeping. Let's continue. Another day. Now, the next is background color. When is horizontal, you use that background color. When is vertical, you want another color to show. Are you getting it? So, background color. What's to stop? I have somewhere I'm going to go to. Background. So, as a decimal, which color I'm using? 00, 32, 4, and D. So that is equivalent to that other color. But let's go and check now. You know, we are not seeing them. If you want to check now, what we do is that let's turn off this one first, right? Let's see whether if we reduce it, can you see that the background color is here now? Can you see it? It's different from the main background color. Look at it. This one is darker. That's what they will see the link clearer. Because you know why? Because on mobile, those things will be tiny. But on laptop, you are not concerned with that because after all, it will appear what? Very big. Did you see the communication now? On mobile, you want to make sure that you give them a darker background. That will bring out what? All this. So let me go back and turn off this. Sorry, turn. You highlight it and use that same way you created it. Highlight it, press down that control and slash again. Any text you have commented before, you want to make it live, just highlight it again like this. And hold down that shift and control and this to bring it back. Then if I press it again, it will comment it back. Some persons want to ask this question, but they are afraid. I know everybody mind. You don't know. It's not today I've been in this field. Osaf is having so many minutes. Feel free to ask questions. This is school now. Nobody can flog you. I cannot punish you for failing now. This is school. So whichever way, always ask. If I don't know it, even if you ask, I don't know, I will tell you that I'm coming back. I just told you that I have a boss now, so you don't need to be worried. Ask questions. You too, when you start now, when you have issue, you will call me now. Osas, no, I know why they disturb me in the cybersecurity class. All right, so the next one is padding. I just want some space. Because all those padding that you gave the other time, they are not for mobile. That's the reason I think we are defining different appearance for the mobile version. Okay. No, now those ones they are for laptop view. See, you are coding for another device now, as it is now. Everything you are writing in this media query now, they are for another device entirely.
But this one, I use it on laptop also.
Which one?
This is
Okay, no, laptop is already set as default. You don't need to bother yourself with laptop. This is laptop already. Look up, look up. This is laptop. Look at this code here in your HTML. This is laptop. Don't waste your time, please. Coding for laptop, except you have too much skill and too much time to waste. Once you activate your HTML default file, laptop has been taken care of. To an extent, sir, tablets. You saw it now when I was moving now. The one you now focus on is what? Mobile and smaller devices. Shouldn't bother about laptop, sir. Oh, sir, as an assignment, add laptop. Oh, sir's assignment, please, you should add laptop for the media query. Please. Only Osas, please. The Kukuman know me. If I'm busy, I'll tell you that this young man knows. He understands more than any other person here. If I close from here, I may be busy teaching online. You may not know. This morning now, I finished class 5 to 7 online for coming here on graphic design. If you are on that my YouTube page, you will see alerts. Now I put the video there. So sometimes if I don't respond to your message, don't feel offended. Keep disturbing. One day, I will ask. So please. So now, padding, then PS. I don't want padding on one side. That's why I put 0. Because putting padding on one side, we destroy the what? The arrangement. So let's go back there. Now, we cannot see it because we have what? Turn it off. So, but most of this thing is better that we are seeing the outcome. That is the only way it can enter. Let me take off this. And you see the padding now. Because there's now reasonable space between them. There's space between them. Now, consider that you remove, you put what? 10. And then we say 0. No space here again. No space here. Right? This place is touching the what? The borderline. So you only added padding what? So no padding space left and right. There is only padding what? Top and bottom. Top and bottom here. Did you understand it now? Good. All this you are targeting user friendly. That is the UI. No, we are still coming now. We are okay. The logo. We are still coming. Let's finish first. So that we have to do different responsiveness for what? That logo. Well, let's continue first. So that is for that. Now, the next one I want to talk to is I am still inside the media query. I think I will have to stop here and continue next class. Let me just finish this one. There's no way I can finish it. I have somewhere I'm rushing to. Those of you online, watch out for part 2. Now, .active. So I will say display place. Now remember that what? I think I have to skip it because I did not specify it. Is there any class here that will say active? Good. So but just leave it. Let me see if at the end of the day I'll make use of it to achieve something because of JavaScript. So let me just go straight to nav. No. Nav. After this one, I'll stop. I'll continue from there. UL, LI, because we noticed that what those link, they are wrapped in what? The list tag, right? So I'll say test align. I want them to be positioned at the center. Test align center. So if I go back there now, consider what they are now at the center. See what I achieved now. Because they are in its own container. So that is the reason why we remove that 0, because after all, we are going to what? Move everything to the center. Then padding padding to this set of items within each container after this. Padding, what do I want to use here? The same 10, PS, and 0. So the next one I will continue with the next class. Let me put the comment there so that I'll be reminded. Is what? Dot subscribe. Dot subscribe. And then hyphen what? BTN. So that is the one we are going to talk to. In fact, that is actually the last one. Let me just complete it. That is actually the last one. The logo we can now consider it separately. Want. After all, it's a test logo. That's the reason I don't want to bother myself. It's a test logo. But if it's an image logo, so now I will add it also. I will say dot subscribe. Let me pick it from here. So I'll say width, because we notice that it's cutting, right? So we say width on this mobile view, it should display what? 100%. So if I go back now, you see that what is not displaying what? 100% now. Now, the next thing I want to quickly do there is the margin top. Margin top, I just want to add some margin at the top. Then PS, so if I come here, just add some margin. So the reason is that, you know that all this that we are seeing, by the time we add the hamburger, all this will have turned to what? To the hamburger. So the display will be different. All this will be under it. This, even this one now will be on top. This one will be under. Then this one will be under it. So we no longer have issue with what? With this. JavaScript will have taken care of that. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank God that I succeeded. I thought I'm not going to finish it. So, which means that the next class will just start with what? JavaScript. It's just simple scripts. I will have just copy and paste the script because we are not dealing with JavaScript. In fact, that's what I will do next time. I will not explain it. I will just copy and paste. When we get to Java, so you get the script down. When we get to JavaScript, after explanation, you come back to it, you understand it. But I just want all to see the end. If not, I will have just said, this is what HTML and CSS can do. Watch out for part 3 with JavaScript.
So what I was mentioning that those filling the NavBar, the 14 and the